mysterious plague. It's happening along a large swath of land near the Shelby and Tipton County border, along Herring Hill Road and elsewhere near the Mississippi River bottoms. Sean Shivot is just back with more.
Richard, Claudia, take a close look. This is what has farmers worried. These tiny dots look as though something burned straight through the leaf, and they're finding this everywhere. The tiny dots appear different depending on the plant. On corn stalks, the dots seem to turn white in the center. On other plants, a white dust speckles the leaves, then destroys the green life underneath.
We found it all in the herbs, in the flowers, in the plum tree, in the weeds. It's apparently on everything.
Tony Holt grows organic produce that she sells at area farmers markets. As these farmers inspect the new growth covered in the perplexing plague, they fear their entire crop may be lost. Just down the road, less than 10 miles at Wilder Farms, the damage could possibly hit hundreds of acres of corn.
It's sudden, and it's so wide, it's so large out here, everybody's seeing it.
It appears to have hit everything, crops, weeds, trees, and there's nothing in common. The Holts raise organic crops so they don't spray pesticides in any of their fruits and vegetables. The first thought was a parasite or insect, but Wilder Farms sprays pesticides, and the damage is just the same. Farmers here first noticed the damaging dots over the weekend. Then Holt came home to find this, baby martins dead.
There's 2 dead birds hanging out of 2 different
I'd say that's a bad sign.
And so we're concerned about that. We don't know that it's related, but it's alarming. You know, we have horses. We're concerned about the horses.
Okay, that's all the
on
time we have for that. You get the idea. So the question is, what's causing the damage? Is it chemicals that the air is pushing over from the ocean onto land? Also, in the future, potentially causing humans to get very, very sick. Many humans, of course, without health insurance. Government to the rescue. Yes, please save us because we're so sick. Instead of asking the real question, why is there so much disease, lack of ease? Again, dis-ease, let's look at the word itself. There is a lot of lack of ease in our country and our world. So we have to ask the question, what is going on here? What's causing these birds to die? And of course, you have the chemtrail issue as well. And so all of these things are happening around us, and there's a lot more info available on BP and what's going on in the Gulf. There's some other things I should mention as well. The weather. The weather is definitely very strange. No surprise there. Many of you were talking about it. Of course, where's the sun? Where is the sun? I mean, it officially isn't summer until, well, maybe late tonight or tomorrow. However, May was a very strange month. June has been a very strange month, and we all know we need food to eat, and we need sunlight, photosynthesis, to grow food so we can, of course, survive as a civilization. But yet there are some very strange things happening pertaining to the crops, and of course we have air pollution, of course, blocking out the full ray, full spectrum, full power of the sun. And so where we go from here, what our summer's going to be like, it's going to be very, 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 very interesting. I just want to point that out, though, that there are some concerns that the Icelandic volcano that started erupting several months ago may be a contributing factor to what summer's seen in some parts of the world, record low temperatures on planet Earth. The idea of, oh, I don't know, a volcano erupting, enough ash going up into the atmosphere, into the skies, and through, of course, the circulation of the air on our planet could be impacting our weather here in the Pacific Northwest and elsewhere. You also have other strange weather anomalies as well. The sun is getting more active. We're seeing more coronal mass ejections. We're seeing more geomagnetic storms. You're going to hear me talking about this very particular issue more and more in the near future. So do your homework on solar storms, Sunspot Cycle 24. That's the name being given to this upcoming cycle. Again, there's 11-year peak and decline in terms of the amount of solar flares in a particular cycle. So it's very, very interesting to be aware of all these things taking place, why things are the way that they are. So we're quickly going to go through these headlines here and then start taking some other phone calls. Let's go back to the first headline that I had set up for the evening. Medvedev, he's the current president of Russia. He sees a chance for a what? A new world order. This is what we see here in the mainstream media right now, and frequent calls for this. Nothing new here. Invisible Empire is a new DVD that is out that gives you more information about the new world order and how long officials have been publicly talking about such a structure of centralized control over the peasants, over the many. Medvedev sees chance for a new world order. Now listen to the language here. I'll comment on this after I read this. Read along with me here. He's the president of Russia. He said Moscow is bidding to help lead efforts to build a new world economic order after the old system collapsed by design, I must interject, in the global financial crisis, which was a surprise to some people, not a surprise to people like you, people like me. He says, and I quote, "What has seemed untouchable has collapsed. The bubbles that created the illusion of flourishing economies has burst." According to Medvedev, for Russia, this situation is a challenge and an opportunity. Again, order out of crisis. We are living in a unique time, and we should use it to build a modern, flourishing, and strong Russia, which will be a co-founder of the New World Economic Order, co-founding, again, next to China, and a full participant in the collective political leadership of the post-crisis world. Russia and China will get to play the good cop in this good cop, bad cop scenario after the United States, the bankers located there, here in our own country and in Europe as well, flood the market with all these derivative bubbles. But of course, the taxpayers have to foot the bill. Moving on to the next point, though, China has signaled a gradual rise in the value in its currency. What does that mean to you? That means less cheap Chinese goods. There's going to be some changes here in terms of how much what you buy actually costs you. China announced on Saturday evening that it would allow a greater flexibility, level of flexibility in the value of its currency, a move that could deflect growing international criticism with economic policies and diffuse one of the greatest sources of tensions between Beijing and Washington. I'm reading from the mainstream media. It all seems very nice and on the up and up. The statement by China's central bank was the clearest sign yet that the country would allow its currency to appreciate gradually against the dollar, because for a long time they've been artificially keeping the value of their currency very low. Though China, and the purpose of that is so we as Americans are able to continue to afford to buy their cheap Chinese products. Though China said its action was based on the interests of its own economy, it has been under rising pressure from the United States, the European Union, Brazil, and India. So we talked a lot about this last year and the year prior to this, especially in 2008. We're at the G8, G20, multiple get-togethers, events such as those, had talked about this world order structure being mostly controlled by Europe, China, and Russia. And so you're going to see more of this as the year goes on. We have other headlines as well. We also have a phone call and, of course, a couple more videos. So, Bill, let's go ahead and let that phone caller on. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Well, I enjoy your show. I have 3 or 4 short things to say. One is on those dots on the vegetation. For all I know, that's some kind of experiment for when they eventually want to gas us out. I know they got these big containers, which I read about on InfoWars. The other thing is the Three Rivers Dam is holding so much water, is tilted the Earth's axis, and it's about 1.5 inches. And I think that might be why we're having all these earthquakes. The third thing is, I hope Hell Obama doesn't get elected the next time round. And the last thing is, thank you for doing a wonderful job. Appreciate it very much, informing the people. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Whether Obama is elected or not will make no difference in terms of where the New World Order goes. They'll just have another puppet do the exact same thing. It's not really about Obama. It wasn't about Bush. But I understand how you feel in your third point. But in terms of your second point, what could be causing the earthquakes, again, there's more evidence to suggest that when there's a big earthquake, we see, again, coronal mass ejections. Doesn't mean that HAARP isn't involved, but it means that I think we can start to see some of the patterns here in terms of when we have a big M-class flare. What do we have? We have a 7.7 earthquake in the Indian Ocean, although there could be military testing going on with the tectonic weaponry that is in existence, not just the United States. China and Russia also have this. China and Russia, rather the United States and Russia, since the 50s, have been sharing weather modification technologies underneath a joint international pact that they will not use these technologies to modify the weather on each other as a weapon. But they will share these technologies for the betterment of mankind. Yes, so they